edict earlier from former President Trump to kill the measure. Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky says failure to pass a Ukraine aid bill would amount to what he calls strategic and moral malpractice. Correspondent Bob Agnew reports.
McConnell is ramping up pressure on House Speaker Mike Johnson to pass the Ukraine aid bill the Senate passed almost 2 months ago. He says failure to do so, quote, risks condemning Ukraine and undermining our own national interest. He's also opposed to alternative funding methods meant to appease fiscal conservatives, things like giving the aid in the form of a loan. McConnell notes that even the smallest change to the Senate bill could delay passage by several weeks. Bob Agnew reporting.
A rough day on Wall Street as the Dow down by 422 points, the Nasdaq dropping 136, the S&P lower by 49. More at townhall.com.
You know, this is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-355-4107 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-355-4107. That's 800-355-4107. What do you have to lose? Call 800-355-4107. Again, 800-355-4107.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stocks fell on worries that what seemed like a blip in the battle to bring down inflation is turning into a trend. The S&P 500 lost 0.9%. The Dow gave back 1.1%, and the Nasdaq Composite fell 0.8%. Treasury yields also leaped in the bond market, raising the pressure on the stock market. Traders pull back on bets for coming cuts to interest rates by the Federal Reserve following a third straight inflation report that came in hotter than expected. The Dow was down 422 points to 38,461. The Nasdaq lost 136 to 16,170. The S&P 500 dropped 49 points to 5160. New York oil rose 98 cents to $86.21 per barrel. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith P.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Expect some overnight showers, some with them heavy with a low of 66. Tomorrow is just ugly. Heavy downpours at times, thunderstorms with gusty winds and a high of 75. We do clear out for a gorgeous Friday. And the nice weather carries us into the weekend. We'll start next week with sun and the mid-80s. I'm Cal Moss if you're on Point Local Weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Please press button now. No, that number's bigger than the one I said.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Chris Bergen off tonight, so it's just Josh Cohen and me from our studios here in downtown Columbia. And our phone number for you is 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you. Plenty of time to take your phone calls and hear what you have to say tonight. But the Masters, weather permitting, will crank up in the morning. And we crank up our coverage tonight with Don Williams from Augusta National. He's been there all 3 days. watching practice, walking the grounds. He'll share with us what he has seen and what he has learned. Of course, we'll have coverage from Don throughout the tournament. And MJ Ward will also be in Augusta. We'll hear from MJ beginning tomorrow night with his take on what he sees at Augusta Thursday and Friday. I don't know. Thursday, Friday of Augusta, Thursday, Friday of the NCAA tournament. Which one takes you off the work schedule more? Are you watching more Masters during Thursday, Friday and ignoring your work, or are you watching more of the basketball Thursday, Friday? Well, from the basketball TV ratings, I would guess people are watching more of the basketball, men's and women's. But I do find it hard to work then. I do find it hard to work during the Masters on Thursday and Friday. You want to watch as much as you can and pick up on all the little things that are going on around the course. So we got that coming up for you tonight. Also was in Charlotte last night for South Carolina, North Carolina baseball. What a ball game. That was as good a baseball game if you like well-played, well-pitched games with strategy and hits and base runners. Now, I'd say the one thing South Carolina did not do well is something they haven't done well all season, and that is hit with runners in scoring position. They were 1 for 10 in that category last night in a 2-1 victory. I mean, they could have used some additional runs. They had runners on base each of the first 7 innings and only got the 2 runs. But the pitching for South Carolina was excellent. And I tell you what, keep an eye on the young man who closed for them last night, Connor McCreary. He's a big kid, about 6'6". He's from New York State. He was hitting regularly 95 last night. They asked him to get 7 outs, and he got them. And he was hitting 93, but a lot of times he hit 95. And he said he's feeling good, so he could become a bigger factor with this team moving forward as the Gamecocks head down to Florida for a big SEC series for both teams. Florida scuffling after being swept by Missouri and then pummeled by Florida State last night. Both teams are 6-6 in the SEC, just a game behind Tennessee in the SEC East standings and 2 games behind Vanderbilt. So it's a big series for both teams. Of course, the Gamecocks swept the Gators last year in Columbia, then went to Gainesville for the Super Regional and were swept there. So these teams have dominated each other on their home field. South Carolina will try and break through on that tomorrow. All right, we'll have some football stuff for you as well. Spring practice continues at South Carolina, but we'll hear from Cade Klubnik, Clemson's quarterback, from the spring game this past weekend and his thoughts on how spring played out for the Tigers, his performance, how much he's improved, and where they're going to go from there. Speaking of football, another commitment for South Carolina today. No surprise that the Gamecocks are starting to roll in some commitments because they began the week with 1, picked up 1 yesterday, and then added another one today. I really, personally, from a standpoint of being in South Carolina, like this commitment. DeMarcus Leach from Abbeville. Big safety, about 6'2", 185. And, coming out of the Abbeville program, he is well coached and football is ingrained in him. And so he grew up a Gamecock fan. His family, they're Gamecocks. Grandmother's a Gamecock. Had an uncle that went to South Carolina. He had a lot of reasons for picking the Gamecocks. And so he jumps on board with South Carolina, and that now gives the Gamecocks 3 on the board for the 2025 class. Something else I want to throw out there to you to discuss, and I know this is low-hanging fruit, okay? You know what low-hanging fruit means, Josh? When somebody says low-hanging fruit, you know what that means? For those who don't know when somebody says low-hanging fruit, that means that's a very easy topic to discuss because it's favorable for your audience. It's just very easy to kick around and to get a response about. So I don't mean to be throwing out low-hanging fruit, but it is what it is. It's low-hanging fruit. I'm just amazed by the continual national attention being given to Caitlin Clark here after the women's tournament is over, and she did not win the national championship. She did not go undefeated. She did not go 38-0, but she had a great individual season. And seeing a lot of things where people are just building her up incredibly. The WNBA announcing 36. See, she hasn't even been drafted yet, but Indiana has the first pick, and everybody knows Indiana's going to take her. So things are being adjusted now. For example, for games against Indiana, teams are raising ticket prices from what they normally are, and I mean raising them a bunch because of Caitlin Clark. And the WNBA announced today that 36 of the Fever's 40 regular season games will be on national television. I'm sure that was not in the plans before. That's all well and good. She's earned the attention. She really has. But where is the national love on the South Carolina women? Here's the low-hanging fruit. Where's the national love on the South Carolina women? Yeah, you ride around Columbia and you see the billboards, "We are the champions," and you hear the promotions about the parade and all that kind of stuff. And that's all well and good right here in the backyard. You expect that. But this team went 38-0. Not only did they go 38-0, they were seldom challenged throughout their schedule, and they played a very difficult schedule. I mean, they had a couple of close ones, relatively close ones, but by and large, they were not challenged the entire season. They dominated everybody. 38-0. Think about that. 38-0. Very few teams have accomplished that in women's basketball, men's basketball. When's the last? Can you name the last undefeated men's national championship team? Last one to go undefeated? I think it was Indiana in 1976, if I'm not mistaken. Bobby Knight and that crew. And that team has forever been loved upon and respected and revered. And I'm just wondering, why hasn't the national media done the same with South Carolina's women? Where is the love? Where's the ongoing love for the South Carolina women's basketball team that I think, should be out there nationally? And the attention on one player, we talk about growing women's basketball, and obviously Caitlin Clark was a great draw. But growing women's basketball means developing more and more good teams. I think one of the problems with college basketball for women, you don't have enough good teams. You really only have, I would say, right now, are there 5 teams that you would say can win the national championship? Of course, you might say, well, what's the difference in that in football? And, that's a pretty good argument because we do have pretty much the same teams playing for the football national championship every year. So maybe it's a problem for football, too. We don't have enough good teams in football to compete for national championship. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Any thoughts you might have on that, feel free to share. 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And we're going to get your phone calls in just a second. I want to remind you, I haven't done this week. I want to remind you now with the summer months around the corner, you got to get ready for your summer vacation. And Jimmy Smith is ready for you. Give Jimmy a call at 843-237-4246. Let him find that perfect spot for you and your family, something that fits your budget, something that fits your numbers. If you're a small family, he'll get you something smallish. But if you've got 12 or 15 or 20 coming, obviously, he'll find something to accommodate that. Number again, Jimmy Smith, Paulie'sVacationRentals.com. That's 843-237-4246. Don't delay because you don't want to be left out in the cold during the heat of summer. Jimmy can get you inside the air-conditioned oceanfront accommodations that you want. 843-237-4246 for Jimbo Smith. Okay. See if there's anything else I want to mention here before we get to your phone calls. Oh, why not just get to the phone calls, Corn? To the phone calls we go. 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Josh, where are we going first?
We're going to go to Ronnie in Lexington.
Ronnie over in Lexington. I don't need to repeat you. I don't know why I do that. It's not like I'm hard of hearing or anything, but I'll say it anyway. Ronnie in Lexington. Welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, Phil. How you doing?
Terrific. It's good to have you with us. Sounds like you're in a wind tunnel.
I apologize. Is this any better, Phil?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. All right. I just wanted, there is so much that I could say on this subject of the women's basketball stuff that you brought up both this afternoon and in yesterday's program. I listened to the whole discussion yesterday about Dawn Staley's comments, and I think it was Keith from Camden that brought it up, and I know Chris was disgusted that this conservative media guy brought up the question at the end of or during the Final Four, the championship game. I think it is extremely relevant because, as you pointed out yesterday, you get a guy that goes out. I mean, we've seen it in swimming and some other sports already. It's simply, if you can get past the locker room problems, which are significant, I don't want to brush over that. They are very significant, the locker room problems. There are serious issues with the right for girls to compete in sports without having to compete against unfair competition. And you've got guys out there that want to run over and say, I'm a woman, hello, I'm a girl, who are biologically male, and they're doing so simply because they want to be able to win a championship in whatever sport they choose. That isn't fair. And Dawn Staley knows that. I don't care what her politics are. You let a team field 3 dudes at UConn or at Iowa or at LSU, whatever, 230 pounds. Go ahead, Phil. Sorry.
No. I was just saying you were dropping out, but you're back with us.
Yes, sir. You let UConn, for example, field 3 guys that are 225 pounds and 6'6" and above. Dawn Staley's going to have a problem with competing against them, and I don't mean on the scoreboard. She's going to have a philosophical problem competing with those guys. And that isn't fair. It's not right, even if you can get past the locker room stuff. Another thing you mentioned yesterday, Phil, is that, everything goes in today's world. Everybody is pronoun sensitive, and nobody wants to agree with traditional norms. I hear what you're saying, but that is a very loud minority. Not only are they very loud, but they're very minority. Mm-hmm. The vast majority is silent because we've got better things to do with our lives than to spend our time being vocal on social media and on the airwaves regarding what should be normal, traditional axioms. The vast majority of people believe in traditional, okay? I don't believe that the new normal among the majority of people in this country is that we accept all of this garbage. I totally disagree with that. And there will be some that call into your show and disagree with me. But again, I am very convinced that that is the very vocal minority. This does matter. And Caitlin Clark, let me figure out the better way to put this. She was a darling. It's her personality. She's not out there with 3-inch long prosthetic eyelashes and 3-inch long fake plastic fingernails and, looking like, some kind of a statement maker. She was a basketball player, and she was well-spoken, and she was extremely traditional in her delivery. She was a media darling. She looked great for the sport, and there's no one else like that out there for girls basketball right now that can pick up the mantle and carry it forward.
Now, I got to respond. Respond there, Ronnie. I got to respond there because I think maybe you're stepping across the racial line there because you're describing things that I think a lot of black women like to wear when they're playing basketball. You see that, and they want to, for whatever reason, dress it up that way. But I think, they have their fans as well, and their fans aren't turned off by their eyelashes or their long fingernails. I mean, the USC women's team, which is almost, totally made up of black athletes, they have fans of whites and blacks who support them and others. And, Dawn Staley has made it a point with her girls to be feminine, to wear the long fingernails and the eyelashes and whatever else they wear. Nobody seems to mind that around that program and around the Gamecock community that supports that team.
Phil, let's not go into the PC garbage and the racial talk. I didn't make it about race. You did. Okay. I'm just telling you, you want to be real. you want to know my opinion as to why Caitlin Clark was able to elevate this game to the level that it's at now, I'm being real and I'm giving you some honest answers to that. I don't care whether it's a black lady, a Hispanic lady, a white lady, whoever it is. Let's not go to that. That is always what people who disagree with conservatism want to couch it in. Oh, he's being racist. Not being racist. You know, it's not a fashion statement. It is a sport. You go out and you show your stuff on the court. It's not a fashion statement. You know, that's not a place to make a fashion statement. Caitlin Clark didn't go out and try to make a fashion statement. She went out and played basketball and played it damn well. And she is a media darling, and she's a personality that America can wrap their mind around, and that's why she took the sport to a different level. But what we should be expressing our concern for with women's basketball at Carolina right now should be about the record. I mean, they've done what no other female basketball team has done, at least that I know of, in the recent memory. I think Jerry Tarkanian was the last one to take UNLV to a perfect record for men's basketball, by the way.
No,
I think the Shark was
it was Indiana.
One to do it.
It was Indiana in 76.
Okay, so beside the point. Anyway, I was wrong about that.
That's all right.
I'm sure you're right about it. You know better than I do. But Carolina women have done something incredible here. And instead of focusing on that, we've got to hear yet another controversial left-wing comment from the coach. And I don't care who you want to blame, whether you want to blame the guy asking the question or you want to blame her for her response. If I were coaching her basketball team, I wouldn't use that as a forum to express my political views. I would use it as a forum to shape young minds and to kick butt on the basketball court. So she's the one that took it there. If you go and do the research and look around, outside of Gamecockville, and I'm a Clemson grad, you know that, outside of Gamecockville, there are a lot of people out there that are focusing on Dawn Staley's comments right now instead of on the accomplishments of an amazing Carolina basketball team. And that's not where it should have gone. And I can promise you, once again, just to recap, she would have a serious problem if if 3 or 4 or 5 men were on a women's basketball team in competition with her, especially if it were in the playoffs. She's being disingenuous, and she's trying to toe the line on liberal agenda instead of do what's best for her team, her program, and for the sport, in my opinion. It's reached amazing heights this year. Run with that. And one of the ways we run with that is to keep the competition fair. Women and men are not the same. There are things that women do that are remarkably better than men. There are other things that men do that are remarkably better than women. It gives me such angst that I even have to point that out. But it's not fair for men to play in the sport. That's all I've got, Phil. Sorry, man.
No, thank you. Understand your comments, your passion, and you're always welcome to call in and share your thoughts. We sat back and I thought, as you know, you were describing Caitlin Clark and the way her appearance is, and you were talking about some girls wearing the eyelashes and the long fingernails. I mean, I took that as you describing black women compared to Caitlin Clark, who dresses and plays the way she does. When calling you a racist, maybe I said you crossed the racial line there, but I think any reasonable person listening would conclude that you were referring to black players when you talked about the long eyelashes and the long fingernails, because they're generally, I think, are the ones that wear that. If I'm wrong, I can be corrected, obviously. But you made interesting comments, and look, I didn't agree with Coach Staley's comment either. That's her opinion. I don't think we should have men who are still men playing in any women's sports, whether it's basketball or rowing or volleyball. I just think that, like you said, I think that's unfair to the real women. And I also, understand, too, that it just doesn't happen. You don't wake up one morning as a man and decide, you know what, I'm going to go out for the women's basketball team. I'm going to go put on a women's uniform and, whatever, and go out for the women's basketball team. I mean, you've got, from what I understand, you've got to go through like a year of transformation, I guess it is, a year of transformation. I mean, you have to basically dumb down your body. Probably not a real good way to put that, but you got to dumb down your body from what the male part of it is, all the hormones and chromosomes and whatever. You got to change it to where it meets a certain level that's like at the women's level. You got to have kind of the same interior makeup in terms of your blood and all that kind of stuff that matches a woman. So that doesn't happen overnight. And so people who hear that kind of stuff, they kind of roll their eyes because they don't believe there's anything to fear. They don't believe that all of a sudden you're going to have all these men playing women's sports. I mean, yeah, you had the case, the very famous case of the swimmer, okay, and Riley Gaines and her campaign against that. And I know there's been a few others here and there, but really, how many have there been? How many have there been? But I do understand that if it comes into your backyard, you tend to pay more attention to it than when it's, in some other state or some other region of the country. Again, it's a completely opinionated take on this thing because it's all about what you believe. It's all about your belief system and what you think is the right thing in the world. I personally don't think it's right for a person who is still biologically a man and able to, play somewhat like a man to come and take a spot that a woman should have on a woman's team. I just don't think that's right myself. All right, we continue with your phone calls, 888-898-2525 to, is it Bobby?
Yeah, Bobby and Casey.
Bobby and Casey, you're up next here on Sports Talk. Welcome in.
Well, Bill, what's doing? How you doing?
Hey, we're doing great.
Two things, one on auto racing, one on men's college basketball. Do you think Kyle Larson, if he runs at Indy, can do what Tony Stewart did, like pretty much a top 10, top 5 at Indy, get on a plane, get some hydration, and come to 600 in Charlotte the same night and do what Tony Stewart did, another top 5? He was testing at Indy today in an Indy car, right?
Absolutely. I absolutely think he could do it. Sure. I mean, he's a great driver. I'm not going to say he's the ilk of Stewart, but he's an excellent driver, and he'll have all the equipment. He'll have all the necessities to pull it off. So absolutely, I think he can do it.
Okay. My next thing is, it's not a done deal yet. Scott Drew at Baylor. Malky won how many at Baylor before she went to possibly a better program, LSU? He goes from Baylor. He hasn't won a national championship there. Goes to Kentucky. What's the odds? I mean, can he make an inroads there, or is it going to be too much pressure? Any quick opinions? I saw your thing on John Rothstein. I also sent you something right before the show saying he's mulling on either staying at Baylor or going. He was supposed to talk to his staff early this morning and the players. There's no final answer yet. I'll take your answer off there. Good show, Phil. I know you're coming on a hard break at 6:30.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Well, obviously, excellent basketball coach. A different guy. I mean, he's different from Calipari. He's very openly religious. That guides him, that drives him. He's at a school that, of course, is a religious-based school. Not saying he couldn't successfully make a transition to a place like Kentucky, but that's a totally different atmosphere and a totally different animal than what he's been used to at Baylor. But it would be, from a basketball standpoint, a great hire. Back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Expect some overnight showers, some with them heavy with a low of 66. Tomorrow is just ugly. Heavy downpours at times, thunderstorms with gusty winds and a high of 75. We do clear out for a gorgeous Friday. And the nice weather carries us into the weekend. We'll start next week with sun and the mid-80s. I'm Cal Moss if you're on Point Local Weather.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Keith Peters reporting. For the third straight day, a New York appeals court has rejected an attempt by Donald Trump's lawyers to delay the former president's hush money criminal trial. Trump's lawyers had argued that the trial should be put off indefinitely while they fight to remove the judge, Juan Merchan, and challenge several of his rulings. Justice Ellen Gesmer's ruling is another loss for Trump, who has tried repeatedly to get the trial postponed. Barring another appeal, the decision means the first of Trump's 4 criminal trials will start as scheduled on Monday. A joyful celebration of the end of Ramadan devolved into panic Wednesday in Philadelphia after rival groups exchanged gunfire, leaving at least 3 people injured. Hundreds fled the city's Parkside neighborhood in the afternoon shooting. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 422 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Families of all backgrounds want options when it comes to their children's education. Education scholarship accounts provide the flexibility and freedom necessary for parents to tailor their child's learning experience according to their unique needs. In fact, 75% of South Carolina voters believe education scholarship accounts should be made available to all families, regardless of income level. And there's a bill sitting before the South Carolina State Senate that would do just that. And you can make the difference. Call your state senator today and urge that senator to put students first in South Carolina by expanding access to educational scholarship accounts. The time is now to support South Carolina students. For more information, visit southcarolinaschoolchoice.com. Again, that's southcarolinaschoolchoice.com. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity, South Carolina.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Comfort promise.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Hello, I'm Congressman Ralph Norman. Friends, our nation is over $34 trillion in debt, according to the United States Treasury. And every month, we continue to add to that mountain of debt. This is one of the most important issues of our time. And I firmly believe our nation is at risk of economic collapse if our elected leaders continue down this path and refuse to reduce spending. I'm making the tough votes in Congress to back up my words. And I invite you to learn more about this on my website, norman.house.gov.
She is the track too tough to take.
The lady in black. She's got a thing for tradition, a hankering for history, and she sure likes a good challenge. Well, when Throwback Weekend comes to town, she'll get exactly what she wants and play extra hard to get.
These guys are going to have their hands full.
Shall we dance? The official Throwback Weekend of NASCAR, May 10th through the 12th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
The soothing tones of the theme of Augusta National, the Masters. Beginning tomorrow, we hope. Weather could be an issue. They do have a weather warning out for Augusta National as of this afternoon. I think you're probably all well aware of that. So Cross your fingers and hope for the best. We begin our coverage of the 2024 Masters tonight here on Sports Talk with the master of all Masters reporters, over 40 years covering Augusta National, walking the hills, walking through the flower beds, maybe even stepping on an azalea or two. He is the great, the creator of Sports Talk, the godfather of it all, Don Williams.
Phil, I just want to know if you paid CBS or Augusta National a licensing fee to use that music.
Absolutely. We do things properly here on Sports Talk.
Good. That makes me feel much better.
Look,
how are you?
If I'm going to jail, you're going to jail with me.
Okay. All right.
Hey, I wanted to ask you that today, the par 3 contest, of course, big family event. Ricky Fowler won it. 5 under 22, had a bunch of hole-in-ones out there. What would you shoot on the par 3 course, you think?
One shot better than you.
Really? That sounds like a challenge that needs to be addressed.
Well, you talk to Mr. Ridley and see if we can line up a little match.
Did you watch the par 3 today?
You know what? I never have watched that in probably 30 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday afternoon's a busy time, and it's a long way away. And the crowd, it's a small acreage, and the crowds are immense. So I just never have made my way over there. And of course, now it's on television, and it's kind of devolved into, what they used to call hit and giggle with a lot of the kids taking part. That's a great way to get the tournament started. Of course, the old saw goes that nobody can win the Masters if they win the par 3, and well, poor Ricky, because he's still looking for his first major championship, and I guess he shot himself in the foot today.
Now, I've gotten an update just a little while ago released from Augusta National about the weather, so I'll share this for those who might be heading that way. Due to forecasted weather on Thursday, they've decided to delay all gate openings in the morning. All Masters free parking will be closed until further notice, while gate openings are delayed. Further updates will be shared no later than 5 a.m. via masters.com and social channels. So what does this all mean?
Well, it means they're not going to start on time. I think that's pretty clear. The opening tee ceremonial shots with Nicholas Player and Watson was scheduled for about 7:45, and of course the patrons are allowed in just a little bit before that. So the release I got was worded slightly different than the one you got, which said the next update would come at 3 a.m. I'll set my alarm to find out what it says. And I think it's, looking at the forecast, I think it's pretty likely that there will be some golf tomorrow. But I think it's unlikely that it'll be much before noon. So we're just going to have to wait and see what they're going to allow, because if they get a deluge, and of course they've been tracking this storm that's made its way today across Mississippi and Alabama, they're going to need to spend some time manicuring the golf course. And of course, always you have to be concerned about thunderstorms. So they don't want to let a lot of people on, I'm sure, at 7:30 in the morning and then shoo them back out at 8:30. So my guess is until they have made a determination about when play will begin, they won't make a determination about when they'll let you in. But I think it's safe to say they will let fans in before the first shots are fired.
You think they are a little bit more sensitive about the weather and concerned about the weather after what happened? Was it last year? 2 years ago, they had the big storm and it blew the trees over and narrowly missed some of the patrons. It was a very dangerous situation out there.
Well, I think you're always concerned when there's thunder in the area. There's been enough lightning strikes of not only just fans but also players around the country over the years to be always concerned about that. But I'm sure that the narrow escape they had from tragedy last year certainly affected them. And again, if you'll remember, the real culprit was wind, not storms. And again, tomorrow they're calling for high wind of upwards of 30 to 40 miles an hour at certain times. So, yes, I think they are being very, very cautious, and I think that's a good thing.
You noticed the correct usage of the term patrons when I was referring to the folks there.
I thought that was good of you. That was very nice.
Come a long way. Come a long way. So, wet weather, wet grounds, most usually leaves a golf course bare to very low scores. What do you think will be the case if they get some holes in tomorrow? What do you think the golfers will be able to do with a wet golf course?
Well, it depends on the wind. High winds negate the softer conditions that heavy rains will likely bring. The golf course has not had much rain here in the last week or 10 days, so right now it's tournament ready. And that obviously is going to change overnight and early in the morning. Then, after the rains pass, and this is only going to be probably a 3 or 4 hour event. And you know, Phil, you've lived in the South long enough. You can have 2 to 3 inches of rain forecasted, and just the way the various cells break, you may only get a half an inch instead of the 2 or 3 inches. So it's going to be very interesting to see how much actual water the golf course accumulates tomorrow morning. After that, there's no more bad weather expected, and high winds are expected not only tomorrow but Friday, and bright sunshine Saturday and Sunday with temperatures in the mid-80s. So the golf course is going to change a lot between the first shot tomorrow and the last shot on Sunday. I don't know if it'll get back to where it is today, but it certainly won't resemble what it is tomorrow morning. I don't think, long answer to your question, I don't think we're going to see a bunch of 62s, 3s, and 4s just because the golf course has become a pincushion in target practice, mainly because it's still a very difficult golf course no matter what. And the high winds, I think, will negate some of the softness that will inevitably come from the rain.
Visiting with Don Williams, who'll be at Augusta National all week for us and on through the weekend. Okay, so let's talk about the golfers. You've seen, if not all of them, you've seen a lot of them walking around the last 3 days, watching them practice and work on their games, and we've heard from them, and we've read about them, and we know who's kind of hot coming in, we know who's not, and we know Tiger's there. So what do you think? Who captures this thing on Sunday afternoon, if you think you have a feel for it?
Well, I've got a 1 in 89 chance. But I think if I were to pick a player to be a favorite, I think I would pick the one that more than 25% of the prognosticators probably would pick, and that would be, who do you think?
I would say they probably would be going with what's his name? Number 1 player in the world.
That's why I'm here and you're there.
Yeah,
Scotty Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler.
That's who I was thinking of. I just couldn't think of it.
Right. He's played the best this year. And there's not a golfer in the world that doesn't have an Achilles heel, and his has been short putts. And if you ask that question about the softened golf course, if that helps anybody, it helps him because it takes some of the fire out of the greens. So maybe that's another little tiny advantage that he has. Somebody asked me earlier today to give him my 5 favorites, and it really didn't take me very long. It's not like the basketball tournament where you pick UMBC and St. Mary's and all these other flyers in the first round. I went with Scheffler, Schauffele, McIlroy, Cantlay, and John Rahm, the defending champion. So, those are the 5 guys who are probably the 5 best players in the world right now. There's a lot of other young players that have really shown a lot of promise, like Sahith Theegala, and a lot of people who are, haven't had their big opportunity on stage. And they may show this weekend that they're ready for the moment. But if I had to pick 5, I'd pick one of the 5 that I just mentioned.
It's going to be a lot of fun as always, Don. Thank you for being with us. Great stuff as always. Try and stay dry tomorrow. Hopefully you'll get some golf in, and we'll have some scores to talk about when you join us tomorrow night. We appreciate it.
That's always more fun when you actually have results to talk about, Phil. I'll see you then.
All right, brother. Thank you very much. It's Don Williams, the creator of Sports Talk and the master of all Masters reporters. Over 40 years covering the Masters for Sports Talk. Appreciate that very much. Okay, we're going to hit the break and come back with more of your phone calls. You can reach us at 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number. More calls coming up after the break.
George Bryant here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and wow, Tsunami Robbie, there is now an amazing technology that you can use when you train receiving large game without having to endure pain. Please explain.
George, that is the magic combination. I have 3 simple words to define that entire concept. Stimulation, not annihilation. Regardless of your training goals, there is a level of stimulation that is optimal for your desired gains. Tsunami Bar's flexible bar technology meets these demands because the user determines the level of stimulation with the amount of speed and force they impart into the bar or training device.
Hey, this is Phil Kornblut. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait. Order today.
Last throw, big guy.
Come on, baby. I need me a giant bear.
I got this. I am the target. Bend, throw.
Oh, well, look who won a giant bear.
That's a grizzly.
Oh, Mama's baby bear.
When you join the South Carolina Education Lottery's Players Club, you get way more than you expect. More chances, more wins, and more surprises.
Yeah, he's had all his shots. Just don't look him in the eye.
Join the Players Club at seeducationlottery.com because more happens here.
Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
She is the track too tough to take.
The lady in black. She's got a thing for tradition, a hankering for history, and she sure likes a good challenge. Well, when Throwback Weekend comes to town, she'll get exactly what she wants and play extra hard to get.
These guys are going to have their hands full.
Shall we dance? The official Throwback Weekend of NASCAR, May 10th through the 12th. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Back on Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. So if you've got tickets to Augusta tomorrow, be advised. Probably want to stay at home for a while till you get the next weather update. You can be up with Don at 5 a.m. and check it as soon as it comes out if you have to find out whether you should go or not. We shall go back to your phone calls. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number, Hank. Hank in Columbia, you are up next on Sports Talk. Welcome in.
Hey, Bill.
Hey.
Hey. The first thing, I'm gonna shout you out because you called it right. When that guy, I almost could have gone through the radio hearing the guy described, I guess white with a ponytail and no lashes is wholesome. And everything else is something different. I mean, it sickened me to hear somebody that ignorant not to understand what he was saying. But I'm gonna move on from that. One thing I will say, and And I got a younger brother that went to Clemson, so it's not all Clemson people. But for some of them to get on there and have so much problem with what anything that Don says or comments on, it's just the amount of hypocrisy. When Dabble says that if you were of another side, Dabble says about the same amount of lightning rod things when he speaks, and they have no problem. He speaks on religion. He speaks on. He spoke on the flag during the protest. All stuff was going. And I have no problem with it. If it's his opinion, he says it. But for them to get on and comment on Don when they got their own little sound bite up there, it's just ridiculous. And I'm gonna leave that alone. But I will say this: the reason it is a problem that they're not covering the girls that way, and the problem. Sometimes people can say it's black and white, it's about black and white, but oftentimes it's not even that so much porn is. It's like when black folk couldn't vote because they suppressed it, or it wasn't in the legal right for them to go and vote. It doesn't mean that they wouldn't do it. It was just against the law for a long time. So when you look at how these stories come out and how they cover people, what is going on with the women is each year they pick one person and they sing that narrative through the whole thing. They did it. If he wants to move away from kids who speak good, I don't think I've ever heard a Don Staley player get up and sound like they weren't well spoken. And I know a good bit of them are on a SEC academic, all academic squad every year. But they pick a narrative for the women, and they pick one, and they run with it for the year. And it was taken part the last 2 years. When Becker came in her first year, it was Becker. Boston's year, when she won all the awards, it was Boston. And so what you hear a lot of the older players saying is, just like they'll run 4 or 5 stories and narratives for the men, that it's the storytellers that have to fix that. Because with men's basketball, you'll get the North Carolina narrative every year. They always make a role for the Duke North Carolina rivalry, but then you'll get the Zach Edey story that they went and spoke a whole lot about.
Mm-hmm.
You get the Dalton Cadet from Tennessee, so they pick multiple folks who are standing out to push the narrative. With the women in the past, they've always pushed one. And Caitlin Clark was like that, so they pushed her. And so it's not that people hate on her. It's saying, as Paige Becker said in her comment, I hope we get to the point where when you have a Juju Watkins that broke all of Caitlin Clark's records as a freshman, so chances would be, if in 4 years she would be touching all these records as a senior. You have a Juju, you have a Hannah Hidalgo at Notre Dame, you got Malaysia Fulwiley down there, you got Herb Paige Becker, you got the South Carolina basketball team that's playing like some of the UConn times of the past, that the storytellers and the people who are on the TV would highlight more than just one thing about women's basketball. And that doesn't have anything to do with race, because the year that Asia won all her awards, I'm sure it was Asia across the network. So I think that's the problem, and that's the problem that needs to be fixed, because if it is, it will allow the women's game to grow even more. Because if it wasn't for that Paris game, the first thing that you would have heard would have been about Caitlin Clark this year. But when South Carolina played Notre Dame in Paris, and everybody saw how good that guard was from Notre Dame, and everybody saw how good Fulwiley was, and most of them tuned in just because the game was in Paris. And then all these NBA players were up watching it and started tweeting about some of the moves. It started a movement for all the freshmen that moved the narrative outside. So I think that's it. But Torrance, I give you your kudos. You were right on it. You don't describe what he described and view one as wholesome and the other one is not. Because I think Aaliyah Boston wears color in her hair. She's wearing lashes before. But I can tell you, she was one of the smartest students that graced South Carolina when she was there at the basketball.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate your phone call. Hank, good stuff from him. Let's continue with your phone calls. 888-898-2525. Winthrop leading the Citadel 5-0 in the bottom of the 6th. We go to Andy in Columbia. Next up on Sports Talk. Hello, Andy.
Hey, Corn. I tried to call last night.
Sorry.
It's Monday night when I heard Graham Pope name.
Yeah.
I was like, that can't be our Graham.
Yep.
And then when I heard it really broke my heart. I mean, such a fine fellow and such a tragic loss.
What a terrible story. What an absolute the whole story of, his murder and then the poor woman who died and her baby died. I mean, and another passenger in a hospital and the police officer in a hospital. I mean, just in a matter of an hour. It's just unbelievable.
It's just, I mean, I don't have words for it. It's just, I mean, Graham was, I didn't know Graham personally, only knew him through the phone. But him and I felt had a friendship through the phone, and he was always such a nice person. I always enjoyed talking to him. And I'm going to miss, I know sometimes he filled in. I'm going to miss him. And, I just wish the best for his family and hope that they can have the ability to be able to get over this and in time. And I know they'll never be able to get over it, but, I just don't know what else to say. That's, I can sit here and talk women's basketball, this and that, but to me, it's more important that I throw out kudos to Graham for being such a great person. And I was blessed to have the opportunity to know him, through your show, and I appreciate that. And, I just wanted to say that.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Take care.
Yep, you too.
We'll talk to you later this week.
That'll be fine. Yeah. Yeah, Graham Pope had an impact on a lot of people, as we talked about last night. People who didn't even know him personally by virtue of what he did as producer of Sports Talk. Because our producers tend to become hosts themselves behind the scenes. They like to talk to the callers and actually take questions and give answers and try and upstage the king. But Graham was great at doing that. He was great at dealing with our callers and getting them right and getting them set up to go on the air. Quickly, let's go to Sam in Charleston. Sam, we got about a minute. How are you?
I have a great idea. If you want to take a break, that's fine. If it's okay with you, you can come back if you want.
Say that one more time.
Can you put me on hold? I know you've been on a commercial break.
Yeah,
so,
we got to squeeze you in now because we got a full second hour. What you got?
So I have a golf question to ask you.
Okay.
So I have this I think it's called a Callaway club in a driver.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for a new driver. What is the best place in Charleston to get a driver? And secondly, I really want to know that I'm going to see the new coach at the TD Arena with Coach Mack. What is your?
Let me answer your question about the driver. I mean, it just depends on how much money you want to spend. You can go to a golf shop and spend a lot of money. You can go to Dick's Sporting Goods and find a great selection. You can go to Walmart and find a bunch of golf clubs as well. Just depends on how much you want to spend. Thank you very much, Sam. We'll be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Severe weather and powerhouse winds, including several tornadoes, struck the Gulf Coast, causing widespread damage to homes, businesses, and infrastructure. In a Facebook post, Slidell, Louisiana Police Department spokesman Daniel Susano says there's extensive tornado damage in that town.
From what I've seen out there, guys, if that continues to hold true, that we have zero major injuries or fatalities, truly a miracle. Truly a miracle. We rescued about 50 people out of an apartment complex right here off Old Spanish Trail. Just minor bumps and bruises, some head injuries, but nothing major. if we somehow can make it out without any fatalities, it's a miracle.
Other communities reported being inundated with water. President Biden is growing increasingly vocal about his unhappiness with Israel over the Gaza war. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
During an interview with Spanish-language broadcaster Univision, the president said Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's approach to the war against Hamas is a mistake. Those remarks add to an already growing rift between the two allies over the war. The president went on to say that Israel should agree to a ceasefire and flood Gaza with humanitarian aid for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Greg Clugston, Washington.
For the third straight day, a New York appeals court has rejected an attempt by Donald Trump's lawyers to delay the former president's hush money criminal trial. Trump's lawyers had argued that the trial should be put off indefinitely while they fight to remove the judge, Juan Merchan, and challenge several of his rulings. Justice Ellen Gensmer's ruling is another loss for Trump, who's tried repeatedly to get the trial postponed. Barring another appeal, the decision means the first of Trump's 4 criminal trials will start as scheduled on Monday. A down day on Wall Street as the Dow dropped 422 points today. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
What should we do with the broke propeller? What should we do with the broke propeller? Don't look at me, I wasn't driving. Thank you, you're not helping. I don't even know why you bought this boat. You told me that you loved this boat. That was before you wrecked the boat. Well, now you've made it awkward.
Accidents don't just happen in sea shanties, so Progressive Boat Insurance has you covered. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms and not available for all boats or in all situations.
Alcohol is still illegal in some New York towns, but under a proposed law, those so-called dry communities would be no more. Correspondent Julie Walker has more on the story.
A bill moving through the state legislature would override local control and take away the dry status. One of the sponsors, State Senator James Skoufis.
We live in the year 2024. This is not 1924. And the bill is an attempt to try and drag these communities into modern time.
In Canandaigua, which is a dry town, Deputy Town Supervisor Philip Stockin says it's another example of the state wanting to dictate to locals.
There's better things that they could be doing with their time and the needs of New York State, because this issue can be changed by the local people anytime they want to.
I'm Julie Walker.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Expect some overnight showers, some of them heavy with a low of 66. Tomorrow is just ugly. Heavy downpours at times, thunderstorms with gusty winds and a high of 75. We do clear out for a gorgeous Friday. And the nice weather carries us into the weekend. We'll start next week with sun and the mid-80s. I'm Cal Moss if you're on Point Local Weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Ooh, I like when you press that one.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
I know Chris tonight. He's up in the upstate watching his niece play her final lacrosse game of her career. So way to go, Chris. You'll be back with us tomorrow night. And we'll take more of your phone calls, 888-898-2525. We will hear in this hour from USC baseball coach Mark Kingston, Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik, USC defensive ends coach Sterling Lucas. Got all that coming your way. For those of you just joining us, perhaps you're just getting to us. Man, you missed a great first hour. Want to thank the callers. Y'all were terrific. You made some good points. You know, when you throw your opinions out there, some people agree, some people disagree. That's what makes sports talk shows successful. The exchange of ideas, the exchange of opinions. You don't have to get mad about it. Not everybody's going to look at things the way you do. But the great thing is we can all throw it out there and kick it around, and maybe some minds will be changed, and you'll pick up an idea or two that you think is a good one, and you will adopt that approach. So appreciate the phone calls. We can take more coming up. 888-898-2525. And we have got recruiting coming your way as well. But first, time to welcome back Bob Eibach. Back. Bob Eibach from Chicago, who is going to tell you once again how you can order these commemorative USC Women's National Championship basketballs. For those of you watching our stream, you can see what they look like right in front of you. Welcome, Bob. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Phil. Your comment just a moment ago was tremendous. You know, when you don't always have to agree with everybody, but sports talk is something I believe, and I've been around this game for over 50 years in broadcasting, and with my career too with the Chicago Cubs and baseball. It's it's something that we can all talk about, whether you like something or not, and you can come to different conclusions. But it certainly gives you some spirited action in this crazy world that we're involved today. And and speaking of that, everybody's talking about women's basketball now. College basketball just took a huge leap this year, thanks to Caitlin Clark out in Iowa, and certainly thanks to Coach Dawn Staley's team that won the national championship over Iowa recently. And I wanted to let the listeners tonight know we've been talking about this the last couple of nights. Almost 18 million people watch us on TV, the game that was won by South Carolina, 87-75, and they never trailed after halftime in that ball game. And now we have something that you can have as a nice keepsake. And this is a really outstanding, full-size, licensed basketball, officially licensed, and everything on the various panels will be embossed, so it'll keep it pristine looking, make all the colored logos and all the data that's put on various panels of the basketball really pop out and really make a stunning keepsake to put up in your home or office. We're only selling 5,000 of these. They're over halfway sold out. A portion of every basketball that we sell is going to go to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of South Carolina to help out a lot of kids who have life-threatening medical conditions. They're $119.95 each. And in a moment, I'm going to give out that special toll-free number and website. You can jump on this, maybe use it as a Mother's Day or Father's Day gift idea, or there's something for maybe a family member or friend that's graduating from college or high school coming up. Really, and a fan, of course, of South Carolina's women's team. Just had an unbelievable 38-0 season. They're only the 10th team in Division I women's history to complete an undefeated season. So it's very historic. On this basketball, on various panels, you'll have the national championship logo on one panel right next to the South Carolina logo. Another panel lays out the entire season for the Gamecocks right on there, featuring all the scores, the dates, the opponents. So you'll be able to go back and see in chronological order just how Dawn Staley's team went on to win the national championship, their third appearance third title, I should say, in the last 7 tournaments. So they're coming on a mini dynasty, if you will, and I think it's going to keep on rolling. Now, before I give out that number and how you can get it, I do want to also point out that we'll have championship history from the Gamecocks, the Lady Gamecocks, right on there, right next to another South Carolina logo. You can get this, again, for $119.95 to help out the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The toll-free number to call is 1-800-345-2868, 1-800-345-2868. Or, Phil, you can go right to the website. You see it right there. I know you guys are posting it up on your station as well. It's NICOsports.com, and that's a little tricky, but I'll spell it out. It's NIKCO Sports.com. That's NIKCO Sports.com, or again, 1-800-345-2868. And only 5,000 of these will be made. And like I said before, we have sold these out every year when we've done them, and we're probably halfway through the 5,000 already. So I would jump on this soon if you want to have a nice keepsake to commemorate the great ladies of South Carolina winning their national championship.
Fantastic. Well, we hope that those balls keep rolling out the stockroom. And like you said, it's a great holiday gift for people. You want to take care of a number of people on your list who happen to be Gamecock fans. Buy these basketballs, hang on to them, and then give it to them during the holiday season.
Absolutely. You know, another thing, too, when I know a lot of my friends who get collectibles, whether they be footballs or basketballs or even baseballs, get a chance to go out sometime. You run into one of these gals that was on the team, or maybe Coach Staley. I'm sure they'll autograph it, and then you really have a super keepsake.
Well, we thank you for being with us. Good luck with everything. I'm sure we'll talk to you again, and remind folks about how to get these basketballs or anything else that you might have coming down the pike here in the future. Just let us know.
Absolutely. And, you know, when you go to that website, you'll see other items on there that may entice you as well, whether you're a fan maybe of another sport or whatever. They've got a great website. And, again, that website's NICOsports.com, NIKCO Sports.com. I guarantee you, you get one of these basketballs for the champions, the lady champs of South Carolina, and put it up in your home or in your office, and you're going to have people coming over and saying, where can you – how'd you get it and where did you get it? Because they're not being sold anywhere else. I want to point that out. You will not find these in stores. You won't find them over on the campus of South Carolina. It's not going to be there, only through the website or the phone number, because we want to raise money for Make-A-Wish.
Fantastic. Great talking to you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, Phil. Have a good evening now.
You too, sir. Bob Ibeck up in Chicago. Yes, longtime member of the Chicago Cubs organization, front office, media, the whole deal up there. What a great guy. And he's devoted his life to working with that company and getting the word out about these great commemorative bats and balls that they present to the fans of winning teams. Back in a moment.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
Relax. Winter is finally over. It's time to get ready for a season of adventure. Escape the ordinary and get out on the road with an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union. From city streets to off-road trails, your journey begins here. Our low fixed rates can get you on the road in a ride that fits your lifestyle and budget, featuring no payments for up to 90 days. You can apply early for a pre-approved spending limit before you even start shopping. Let a Founders representative be your trusted advisor to make sure your purchase makes sense for you and your finances. Ask for a free auto insurance quote for a personalized plan to protect your purchase. Founders also offers mechanical breakdown protection that is competitive with most warranty plans available at dealerships. Head over to one of our 40 convenient office locations or visit foundersfcu.com to apply for an auto loan today or to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
All right, give you the recruiting report, but we're also monitoring the press conference at the University of Arkansas for John Calipari. Calipari will be speaking momentarily, and when he starts to speak, we'll bring it to you. It's a national event, and it impacts us because it's SEC, so we'll bring that to you once he starts to speak, once I complete the recruiting report, which is brought to you by Seawells, and I hope you can get out to Seawells tomorrow for their daily luncheon buffet. You will not be disappointed for only $14.50. Best buffet anywhere. Great meats, great vegetables, desserts, all the beverage you can handle. Terrific setting with a lot of space. Sit back, relax, bring a buddy or two, take up a table, have a good time, maybe pull out a pack of cards, play some poker, whatever you want to do. Baccarat, chess, maybe you want to play chess, mahjong, whatever you'd like to crack. Whatever you'd like to play, you could take up a table and have some fun. And speaking of having fun, how about you have the fun when you've got that big event and let Seawells handle all the work? They are the people to call for the best in catering at 803-771-7385, SeawellsCateringSC.com. South Carolina commitment today, safety DeMarcus Leach, 6'3", $185, Abbeville. Announced his commitment to Shane Bieber early this afternoon, becoming the third member of the class, the first on the defensive side. The others are receivers. Gamecocks and Duke emerged as the top two in his recruiting over the spring, but the Gamecocks had always held the upper hand in his family. Said he grew up a Gamecock fan, had an uncle who went there. Grandmother was a Gamecock fan, so that made it, not going to say easy, but certainly helped the Gamecocks and Shane Beamer and Torian Gray. He said he was heavily communicated with, he was communicating heavily with the Gamecocks, FaceTiming with the defensive staff, with Gray, with Beamer, a lot of contact. So they let him know that they wanted him, and he appreciated the love he got from the Gamecocks. That's why he went ahead and committed. He can play all over the field. They've talked about him, playing nickel. He can play safety. He can play a big corner. So they like his versatility. He visited the Gamecocks for a junior day in January. He didn't take any visits in March and so far in April because of his 7-on-7 schedule. So he hadn't taken many visits. He is scheduled for an official visit to USC on June 21st. He also has a visit to Duke scheduled for June 14th. Don't know if that'll happen or not. Also had offers from Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech, Cincinnati, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Coastal Carolina, Charlotte, and Appalachian State. 2026 receiver Brody Keefe of Charlotte plans to visit USC tomorrow. Westside quarterback Cutter Woods committed to Wake Forest this afternoon. So that's one of the better quarterbacks in the state heading out of state. And Irmo quarterback A.J. Brand was offered by Oregon State. There you go. That's what we have for you in recruiting tonight. And as we speak, we see Hunter Yurachek walk away from the podium. Oh, they're calling the Hogs. Let's go to this. Here are the Arkansas fans calling the Hogs, and the new big hog, John Calipari, is coming to the stage. Let's listen for a couple of minutes from Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Where it is about as loud as a building could get. You're not entertained. The loudest arena to start a game I've ever been in.
This is a hard place. You don't come here expecting to win. Let me tell you that.
the name, the brand, the identity that he brings to a program that has a storied, rich tradition, an outstanding fan base in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Big recruits will follow and winning will follow.
You go to Kentucky. What made you go to Kentucky?
Coach Cal.
I love Cal. I still talk to Cal to this day. You came in, you earned everything, he made you work.
Playing for Cal that relationship lasts forever.
John Calipari gets to go to a proud program with Final Four national championship pedigree.
With the first pick in the 2010 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select John Wall.
The New Orleans Hornets select Anthony Davis, Julius Randle, Keldon Johnson, Devin Booker, Jamal Murray, De'Aaron Fox, Bam Adebayo, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Karl Anthony Towns from the University.
That's a program that is built to win.
Arkansas needed an adrenaline dose. John Calipari is going to give them that.
And now, let's welcome to the court, joined by his wife, Ellen, the head coach of your Arkansas Razorbacks, John Calipari.
Listening to the introduction of John Calipari, the new basketball coach at Arkansas. Let's go back to Fayetteville. Just listen to a couple of minutes here. Again, national story, SEC coach. We should listen to this for a couple of minutes. Calipari being handed his number 1 jersey. He's on the stage with Hunter Yurachek, the AD, who used to be at Coastal Carolina, of course. And so let's listen to Calipari coming up. 15 years at Kentucky, 1 national championship. I think did the least with the most of anybody in the country the last 5 years. Here he goes to the microphones. Let's just take a quick listen here and see what he has to say. John Calipari, hard to say this, John Calipari, new head coach at Arkansas.
Coach, they've been waiting for you. Welcome.
I have never gotten that kind of greeting in this building. As a matter of fact, you were probably in the building when they threw me out before the game ended. Walked through. We did win that game, though, but they walked out, and you guys were throwing stuff at me then. I wasn't hearing any cheers.
How did this happen? Walk us through this.
Phew. Where's my John Tyson? He did this twice now. I need you to talk to my AD. Well, I'm in Phoenix. He's in Phoenix. What? Well, tell him to call me. I'll meet him tomorrow. You want me to talk about candidate? I didn't know what, and we met. We only met about an hour and a half, maybe less than that. Part of it was talking about other people, and he said, now that you know this, and I know you think this is a great program, why not you? Why not me? Yeah, why not you? Huh. Now, from that meeting, I left and went west. We stayed in touch a little bit. I just want everybody to know here, I didn't want anything out until after the national championship game that we were even talking, because I didn't think it was fair for those 2 teams and those coaches and those players and those programs. Somebody here leaked it out, though. I don't know who leaked it out, but someone did. But, Hunter, we didn't speak about it because it wasn't fair for those teams. I'll tell you what happened to me. We were out west, and we had a priest with us, a Catholic priest. He gave Mass one morning in his room. And I said to him, Father, I got to decide what I'm going to do here. One is Arkansas, the other is Kentucky. And he told me, go for an hour walk and have in your mind, you're the Arkansas coach. And then on the way back, that you're the Kentucky coach. And tell me, you'll see what moves your heart and what you want to do. And I did that. And I'll be honest, when I thought about coming here and building this program and making it something special, it got me excited. I got to say this, though. And again, in 2007, I met with Coach Broyles. And we talked. I was at Memphis at the time. And I've just got to tell you, there's a difference now than leaving a job back then. Back then, you had players that were there to play for you, to be with you, to help groom them to get ready for what their future was. And if you left, they were stuck there. They couldn't leave. They had to play for whoever the coach was. And John got mad at me. I said, I'm not leaving these kids. And it was Derrick Rose, Antonio Anderson, Chris Douglas Roberts, Joey Dorsey, Robert Dozier, Sean Taggart. I mean, we had a great group. But it wasn't about winning and losing. It was about leaving them. It happened to me at Massachusetts with Marcus Camby. We lost to Eddie Sutton's Oklahoma State team in Big Country in the Elite Eight. He said, I'm going to stay, Coach. I'm not ready. And I said, well, then I'm going to stay with you. There were a couple things that were happening for me. The next year, we go to the Final Four, lose to a Kentucky team. I think we got screwed, but that's another story. And he says, I'm going to do this. And I went and said, you know what? I'm going to go too. And I went to the Nets. You know who I got to coach at the Nets? Joe Klein. Now, yeah, he got me fired. But they were saying you traded for Joe Klein. No, he was in the trade. But I got to tell you one story. So, and Joe will tell you this is true. So I trade for him. He walks into my office in the arena. We're getting ready to play a game. He says, Coach, I'm Joe Klein. You just traded for me. I said, Joe, I don't have time to talk to you, so I'll see you after the game. He said, should I put a uniform on? And I said, yeah, but you're not going to get in. But go ahead, warm up and be around. You know what happens. My center gets in foul trouble. Another kid gets hurt. I look at Joe. He looks at me. I look at Joe. He looks at me. And I said, go in. We'll run floppy. Anybody that ever, Joe Johnson's here, you know, Ron, you know what floppy is. That's universal. Anybody can do it. Joe struggled with it, but anybody can do it. So I said, go in. And I could tell you other stories, but he walked by me and stopped and turned back and said, I'm Joe Klein. It's nice to meet you. And then went in the game. And I had an absolute, he and I have been friends since that time. He got me fired, but it was good because I could get back to what I do best. I'm sorry, Joe. I had to do that.
All right. John Calipari up at Arkansas. I was hoping to get in a little bit more about leaving Kentucky and coming to Arkansas, but you get the gist of what they're doing up there. They're doing a very casual one-on-one type of a setting there with one of the announcers, I guess, for Kentucky handling it. So that's you know, monumental move for sure. Hall of Fame coach. And you know, interesting though, he's talking about the portal, how tough it was to leave when the players couldn't leave. I think what he was getting to is it's easy to leave as a coach now because the players can leave too. They're not stuck when you go. They can go somewhere else, just like you can go somewhere else. I think that was the point he was probably getting to. Okay, we'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Expect some overnight showers, some of them heavy with a low of 66. Tomorrow is just ugly. Heavy downpours at times, thunderstorms with gusty winds and a high of 75. We do clear out for a gorgeous Friday. And the nice weather carries us into the weekend. We'll start next week with sun and the mid-80s. I'm Cal Moss if you're on Point Local Weather.
If you spend as much time in your outdoor living space as I do, you should make that time truly enjoyable with new patio furniture and a new grill from Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio. We offer a huge selection of high-quality, unique, brand-name patio sets, pieces, and accessories. Our top-of-the-line grills include Big Green Egg, Weber, and Traeger. It's all in stock and online at affordable prices at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive and JackOliverPools.com.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting. Donald Trump says an Arizona law that criminalizes nearly all abortions goes too far, and the former president called on Arizona lawmakers to change it. He's also defending the overturning of Roe v. Wade that cleared states to ban the procedure. The Arizona Supreme Court ruling on Tuesday cleared the way for the enforcement of an 1864 law that bans abortion at all stages of pregnancy, with no exceptions for rape or incest. Trump says that it'll be straightened out, and as you know, it's all about states' rights. Trump says Florida's 6-week abortion ban will probably also change. A joyful celebration at the end of Ramadan devolved into panic Wednesday in Philadelphia after rival groups exchanged gunfire, leaving at least 3 people injured. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 422 points. More details at srnnews.com.
I've learned a lot in my years doing this, but I've never had my eyes opened wider than when I met the folks from Broker Solar and went to see their job sites. Everything I thought about solar power, well, I was wrong about. Now, I'm on board 100% as long as it's done right. Don't let the media, don't let the politicians guilt you about solar power. You want solar because it actually will save you money and give you some power literally and figuratively at the same time. It's amazing technology. What a great way to get rid of your monthly power bill. No more power outages. Instead of having to buy a generator, you just rely on solar batteries from Broker Solar. Listen, I'm sick of having politicians tell me about green this, green that, but solar technology has advanced so much. So if you want to learn more, why don't you call the folks over at Broker Solar? This isn't some national thing. They are local. They're located right in Lexington. In fact, I've known the owner's family for many, many years. They are great. Online, it's brokersolar.com or call them 807-7417. That's 807-7417 for Broker Solar.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
I sure like to brag about good local businesses. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is a great local biz. Josh and his team stress customer service as their top priority. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning came out to my house. I had a toilet that wasn't working right, a garbage disposal that died. They came out right on time, told me everything they were going to do, and explained the price of each repair before even bringing in the tools. I knew exactly what I was getting and exactly what it would cost. Their prices are fair. Their team is courteous and professional. Plus, they did a great job fixing what needed fixing in my home. I am very careful about making any recommendations, and I'm thrilled and confident to suggest you call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning for any plumbing needs. If it's a repair or to replace something, if it's that tankless water heater that you've always wanted to give you that endless hot water and save you some money. They unclog drain and sewer lines and so much more. Online, you'll find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com or just give Josh and those great folks a phone call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222, and tell them you heard about them from here at The Point.
Okay, baseball. Let's update the baseball scoreboard for you. You got Boston College defeating Dartmouth 7-1, and Winthrop 5-0 over the Citadel, bottom of the 8th. Wofford leading North Florida, top of the 6th, 6-3. Liberty, Virginia Tech are scoreless in the 3rd. Notre Dame leading Butler 1-0 in the 4th. Today, South Carolina coach Mark Kingston met with the media before the Gamecocks hit the road. I guess tomorrow they hit the road, head to Gainesville, where they lost a super regional last year after sweeping the Gators in the regular season. Gamecocks maybe turning the corner a little bit after beating third-ranked Texas A&M on Sunday, 13th-ranked North Carolina last night in Charlotte, in what was a heck of a good baseball game. So here is Mark Kingston taking questions from the media earlier today.
Couple for you. Do you have a weekend rotation set for this series yet? And also, is there an update on Cole Messina?
Cole, we are hoping will be available this weekend. It's a day-to-day thing. He just has to continue to pass certain tests that progress towards being fully cleared. The weekend rotation, we have a pretty good feel. I'm not sure if we want to release it just yet. I want to check with Matt just to double and triple check that that's the direction we're going to go, but we should be releasing it fairly shortly.
Is there a key to reversing the Friday night fortune?
Yeah, play better baseball. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to play better baseball than the team you're playing. And we just have had some close games on Fridays that didn't go our way. So we just need to play better baseball, whether that means a little bit better defense, whether it means Eli really has a great outing, whether it means we get some more clutch hits. It could be any of those things. But we do need to continue to try to look for ways to make sure that we get the weekend off on a better foot.
I know it's kind of a quick turnaround, but what have you seen from Florida so far from any scouting you and the players and coaching staff have done?
Well, obviously with them, it starts with Caglione, both from the pitching standpoint and the offensive side. He's a dominant performer in both areas, and so you've got to be very cognizant of him and what he can do to beat you. So it starts with that. They're an elite defensive team, as they generally are, and it's Florida. Again, they're going to have a very competitive mindset. They always have, they always will. And you've got to respect their ability to win games. They've struggled some in the midweeks, but they've also had some really good weekends. So we respect that. We respect the program and respect going down into their ballpark, because in this league, that's always a challenge.
We talked about this a few weeks ago, and you said the more you talk about it, the more pressure goes on guys. But, you know, over halfway through the season now and still down at the bottom of the league and hitting with runners in scoring position and, you know, pretty fair amount off of your normal batting average. Is there anything that you can do to change things up? Do you try to manufacture things? Do you try to tweak different approaches in certain situations? Like how can it change?
Yeah, it just changes by guys being able to relax in those moments. The guys that right now are struggling statistically in those areas have historically been very good. And we talk with, you can start with our two big guys there that get us all going. We know who those are. Last year they were tremendous with runners in scoring position. This year it hasn't quite been the same. And so baseball's funny like that. Sometimes you can get in a rut and it takes a little longer to get out, and they're obviously working very hard to be the players and to be the run producers that we all know they are. And sometimes it just takes one good at bat and they start to feel better, and then it gets contagious. But I do know we do need to do a better job of putting the ball in play with two strikes. I know we need to probably be a little bit more aggressive so that we don't get into bad counts with runners in scoring position. I think some guys are a little bit too aggressive in those situations, some guys not aggressive enough. And it's always a case-by-case basis, but yeah, we're well aware that we need to do a better job there, because as I look at some of the stats of other teams that we're playing, if we were just even close to our batting average normally as what we need to be with runners in scoring position, we might have 3-4 more wins easily. And so it's the difference between being really good and being elite. And it's something that, as you mentioned, we can't talk about it too much, because then the thing becomes a bigger thing. But we just need to keep working every day until it turns.
Coach, I remember the last Florida series last year here, and it was super fun. What do you remember about that series, and what's it going to take to kind of manufacture that energy when you guys go to Gainesville?
Well, obviously we played them 5 times last year, and the home team won all 5 games, and so it seems to be in this series since I've been here, the home team has a major advantage. So we need to find a way to overcome that. Again, I don't think you put pressure on your team. You don't make them press. You just say, we're going down there to play the best baseball we can. We're going to enjoy it. We're going to have a lot of fun. And then you let the chips fall where they may from there.
I know I asked you this a week or so ago, but Dalton Reeves has doubled his sample size of games played since I asked you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
does he like command a spot in the lineup as DH if Cole's back, just with the way that he's been swinging?
Well, I think he's under consideration. There's no question about it. He's done a really nice job. His defense has been much better than we could have ever dreamed. His development since he got here has been through the roof defensively. You know, he was always been a very solid hitter over the years, but he's swinging the bat well now. The trick is for one guy to go in, that means somebody has to come out. So as I look at the guys, I think our hitters that you can generally say have an argument to be in the lineup. I think it's at 11 or 12 right now. And so on any given day, we can only put 9 in there. So I can tell you, as of maybe a month ago, he wasn't in that group of 11. Now he's in that group of 11.
You mentioned the hitting with runners in scoring position, and like last night, you had runners on every inning through the first 7. I think you left 10. And it's been a thing all season long. Is it just, what do you think's happening with the guys when they have guys at the plate when there's runners on? Is it a mental thing with some of them, or just bad luck? What do you see from the dugout?
Every guy's different. Every guy's as we talked about a few minutes ago. Some guys are too aggressive. Some guys not aggressive enough. I think sometimes you've got to understand we have played one of the top 10 schedules in the country, and with that comes elite pitching. I mean, we faced elite pitchers all year, but I also think we can do better, and I think we will do better. But I think it's trying to find what makes the light go on for each guy. One guy might be mental. One guy might be, you've got to be more aggressive. The next guy might be stop chasing and rolling over early in a count, and the guy can't score. It's generally not something you can stereotype a whole group with. It's generally you've got to pick this guy and what can help him. Pick this guy, what can help him. And then collectively, you hope that it all gets better together.
What were the elements that led to you guys, you and Clemson, not being able to reschedule? How disappointing is it to you guys not having a chance to play that third game here at your place? And then will you attempt to find a 56 game somewhere?
Yeah, it's disappointing for everybody. Obviously, we all know how much it means. But the combination of games, road games, academic schedules, final exams, we just couldn't find a place that made sense. So disappointing for everybody. Whether we look for a replacement game for that in another spot, I think we need to continue to evaluate where we are health-wise, where we are RPI-wise, where we are schedule-wise, what dates are available. Like it's a lot of levels to try to figure out a game. And so we'll continue to evaluate it. And if we feel like it's the best move, we'll explore it.
All right, there you go. Mark Kingston coming off a couple of good wins last night in particular over North Carolina. Thought the Gamecocks played extremely well, except for leaving the runners on base, which has been an ongoing thing for them all season. But they played a little small ball. They advanced the runner. They attempted to take an extra base. Dylan Brewer got thrown out on his RBI double, attempted to stretch it to a triple, but was thrown out after sliding off the bag. But the pitching was outstanding from their starting pitching all the way through their bullpen. They were really, really good last night, and they flashed some leather last night, the Gamecocks did. 3 double plays, 2 other sparkling plays in the field, one by Tippett, the shortstop, and the other by the second baseman. And those were big for the Gamecocks to make those plays. Just Parker Nolan, the second baseman, those were big at those situations. So a good all-around performance if you overlook leading the runners on base. You know, luckily for the Gamecocks, they were able to get the win, and that sort of allows you to look past that a little bit. Though you do know, and Kingston knows it as well, and Monty Lee knows it as well. They got to figure out a way to fix that. They got to figure out what it is, what button to push to get a guy. I mean, like last night, I think one case they had bases loaded and 1 out, and I think they got 1 run out of that. Another case they had bases loaded, nobody out, and they didn't score. So you got to figure out a way to get that run home or runners home when you have those kind of situations in front of you. And no better time to start for the Gamecocks than this weekend at Florida. Florida's been scuffling. They've been scuffling. They're not the team that played for the national championship last year after beating the Gamecocks with that great pitching in Gainesville. But they're 6-6 in the league, and they're only 12-7 at home. That's a lot of home losses for them. South Carolina's 18-4 at home. Georgia is 19-1 at home. And this past weekend, unbelievably, the Gators were swept by Missouri. And Missouri's not a good team, but they found a way to put together a weekend at Florida and sweep the Gators. But you know that Florida always has strong arms. They usually can roll out the pitchers who throw hard. So, yeah, they have lost, swept by Missouri 2-1 and 11, 4-3 and 11-10, 3 one-run games. Then they were bombed at Florida State last night. Florida State just kicked them. So, I mean, if you're South Carolina, you look at it one of two ways. Florida's a really good team, and they're going to be coming in a foul mood, or Florida is down, they're struggling, and you got a chance to go down there and win a series, which the Gamecocks need to do. Florida lost earlier to Florida State, 14-3, so Florida State hammered them twice. They took a series from Mississippi State here recently. They played LSU and won that series, so they've done some good things. They won their series with Texas A&M. They actually lost 3 games to Florida State this year. So they played 3 times, different dates, and they lost all 3 times to Florida State. So they're not having that great Florida type of year, 17-14 and actually 17-15 after losing last night and 6-6. So see what the Gamecocks can do down there in Gainesville, see if they're able to build on what they started this week with the win over Texas A&M and then the win last night over North Carolina. Now, Gamecock spring practice continues. They'll have another workout tomorrow, a scrimmage on Saturday, and then finally they get into their final week of spring practice, heading towards their spring game. Of course, Clemson had their spring game last Saturday. They kind of finished things up and cut everybody loose. Dabo Swinney is having meetings with his players. They'll have some time away. Then they'll be back to get into the off-season conditioning program, workouts, and things like that, looking ahead to the 24 season. I know the talk after the game was all about Trent Pierman, right now the number 3 quarterback, and he had a good playing for both teams in the spring game. But as Dabo Swinney will tell you if you ask him over and over again, Cade Klubnik is still the number 1 guy. He is still the guy he's pinning his hopes on. He's still the guy he expects to lead this Clemson offense back to greatness. And here's Cade Klubnik as he talked with the media after the spring game, sharing his thoughts on the game, his performance, and how things went this spring.
I think we've had a really good spring offensively, and just taking what we learned last year and just kind of putting it into play this offseason. So it's been really good, really exciting. Obviously, spring games can be tough at times, but obviously, it was fun to kind of get out there and get kind of in a game day environment. So it's fun.
Mm-hmm. You definitely want to be improving on some things, coming into your junior year. Upperclassmen now, but what have you focused on the most coming into this fall?
Yeah, I think schematically, just taking what I've learned from last year's offense, and it's kind of fun to run the same offense again, so that's been fun, and just take what I learned throughout the season and throughout the games, just kind of, whether it's my schemes, the stuff, just getting through stuff faster, that's been really fun, and just continuing to slow down the game. So yeah, it's been great.
What did you feel like the offense did well today?
I thought we ran the ball really well. I thought the offensive line had a heck of a day. They protected really well in the pro game, in pass pro, and I thought we ran the ball. I think Jarvis and Strecko both had a really good day, and obviously we had some good opportunities to get the ball down the field. The one with Adam and a few other ones. So I think that we'll just continue to get the ball downfield. But I thought we did a really good job just kind of catch sometimes.
A couple of guys who put in a lot of work with the rest of the team, obviously, but don't get necessarily the playing time on Saturdays. Got to shine a little bit today. How rewarding is it to see that?
Yeah, it's great. I think that's kind of the point of spring ball, and especially the spring game. Have a couple of guys that Chris Swain decided to just kind of hold out, and you kind of got to see some of the guys that y'all don't hear about a lot, like Josh Sapp, and making a heck of probably the play of the day in my opinion, making one of the most unbelievable catches I've seen, and then obviously Jarvis and Keith and Strecko just kind of getting to show out, and it was really fun to see them kind of make some plays.
So you limp off the field there towards the end of the game. How's your right ankle?
It's fine. I just tweaked it a little bit. Nothing bad at all. Just kind of playing a little bit weird, throwing it to my right, just didn't step right. But it's all good. Yeah, he's great.
All right, Cade Klubnik from the Clemson spring game the other day. Let's shift our attention over to the Gamecocks now. And one of the newcomers who has caught the eye of the defensive coaches, the linebacker coaches, defensive end coaches, is Demetrius Knight. He's an older guy, transfer guy from first Georgia Tech and then a year at Charlotte and now at South Carolina. He's played a lot of football. He's made a lot of tackles. And not too long ago, we had a chance to talk one-on-one with him about making the move to South Carolina and what he's looking forward to.
You're used to being in a high major situation at Tech, then you went to Charlotte, now you're bouncing back up to the SEC. What's it like for you?
It's an extreme blessing, first and foremost, and I believe this is where I was meant to be. Things don't happen for no reason. I truly do believe that, and when the Lord leads you to a different place, He has a different mission for you. I believe my mission here is the same. To, give back to this team and to Coach Beamer and what this program is becoming. It's not soon developing into, but the time is now. So I'm really excited to be a part of what we have building here.
You're an older guy, so you've seen a lot of changes for college athletes. Can you believe that you've been in a situation where you got a COVID-free year so you can still play? You're free to move as much as you want. You're able to make some money through NIL. How about the changes that you've lived through as a college athlete?
It is completely different. If you would have told me the stuff, or if you would have told me I'd be in the SEC coming out of high school, I probably would have laughed at you. Being at Georgia Tech, I was thinking, I was going to finish my career there. I was thinking the same thing about Charlotte, but you really never know in this game of life. It's like football. It's the unexpected. You got to be able to react to sudden changes. And with defense, you got to be able to roll with the punches, but then you also got to be able to give the punches to get the offense back on the field. So college football is definitely changing, but again, we're just rolling with the punches and, not letting it take advantage of us, but more taking advantage of the game itself.
Is it good? Is it good for the players? Is it going to be good for college football down the road, especially if they get to the point where the athletes become employees of the schools?
I believe it can. I believe it'll be good. Of course, right now, people see the downside of it with a bunch of transfers coming in, and some people don't like that, and he's transferred a couple times and things like that. Sometimes people don't really know the backstory of why people are transferring. Some guys transfer just out of spite. Some guys transfer because they're in need. They need a better situation with their family because they have families of their own, like I do. So they come first when it comes to these type of situations. And so, but I believe that will help lead into, once careers are finished, if there's no shot at the league, there's always opportunity to come back and be a GA or become an assistant coach and then possibly work your way up to being a position coach. And whether that be a coach get a job somewhere else, you can also find your way into that segue there.
You mentioned you're a family man. You've got a wife. You've got one kid. You got another one on the way. So how do you juggle family life, academic life, football life, maybe a little bit of student life? How do you juggle all that?
It is a lot. It is definitely a learning curve. It was a learning curve when it was just me coming back to my wife. It was a learning curve this past year with my daughter being back at home, and now with my son on the way. Of course, I'm getting used to it with my daughter being able to come back home and spend time with her and my wife. And when they go take naps, that's usually when I get a home workout, do a good bit of that, just to knock a good bit of it out. So when they wake back up, we can go to the park. Just let my wife see, I'm not robotic. I'm not just in football mode all the time, because they're looking for that, for you to be connected. So I'm glad I get to, go home, relax with them. They take a nap. I'll do work, watch film. And then once that's done, I'm with them the rest of the day. And so it's a good recharge every time. Come here, work extremely hard, work with the guys here, and then go home and detox with the family.
You were a really good player at Charlotte last year. You were all conference. Why the decision to make this move, and then why South Carolina for you?
Like I said, the decision to make this move was mainly because of my family. It was pretty rough on us not at Charlotte. Charlotte was great to us, They were awesome to us. It was just we were farther from family being out there. My wife didn't have much support as where our daughter was born, so there wasn't much support for her or for us out there. So we have closer support here it's just not too bad of a drive as our family lets us know now. So they love making the drive to South Carolina. They're all excited about coming to games now. My mom and aunt are trying to work on tailgating, and it's not even close to the season yet, but that just tells you how excited the family is. I think this was a great move and an extreme blessing for our family.
What are your plans on the field? How do you see yourself fitting in? You're wearing Xavier Leggette's old number, so that carries some responsibility with it in this program?
Right. I hope to make him proud by showing him how fast I can run at the linebacker position. I plan on using my skill. I developed my skills as a linebacker, not just by I know I can run, know I can tackle, know I can catch. I think it's at that point where I'm starting to elevate my game to an IQ level, where the more you know, not the less you have to do, but the more you know, the more you can let everyone else know. Certain plays that are coming, certain cues, and things like that, just so everyone's on the same page before the ball is snapped, so that post-snap and pre-snap, we like the outcome.
How do you analyze this linebackers room? How do you fit in? How do you see them using you in what position with the linebacker group?
This room is talented and truly loaded from top to bottom. It's going to be, again, like Coach Beamer says, competition. Competition is king, and it's going to be great to compete with those guys. I see a lot of us being used, whether that be special teams, whether that be playing a couple drives, some guys going into relief, some guys. I'm not sure where I'll be. I just know I'm going to compete with the best of the guys in there, and that's everyone. So they've done a great job taking me in, showing me the playbook, which most of it I've known since being at Georgia Tech. So it's just learning a different lingo. So I've been able to catch on very quickly and use it to my own advantage when watching film. But it's going to be great to get after it in spring with these guys, summer in these guys, get to truly nail down who's going to be doing what when we get to fall camp and then roll into the season with probably that entire room of guys. So I'm truly excited to get together with those guys and get to working.
All right, there you go. I think a guy who is going to play a big role with South Carolina brings a lot of savvy to the position, a lot of experience, made plays wherever he was, whether it's at Georgia Tech or Charlotte. So look for DeMarcus Knight to have an impact on the Gamecock defense this coming season. Yes, sir. What you got?
I was just saying 1 minute.
Oh, I thought you had something.
No.
Thought you had something important.
No, not
No?
really.
Would you like to do the last minute of the show?
I'm not prepared.
Oh. How much preparation time do you need?
I don't know.
To do a minute, you need how many hours?
Now we're at 30 seconds. So thank you for listening, everybody.
Winthrop beat the Citadel 5-0. Can always finish with baseball scores. Wofford over North Florida 8-3. Let's check some Major League scores real quick. White Sox leading Cleveland 5-4, bottom of the 6th. Padres over the Cubs 4-2, middle 5. Boston leading the Orioles 1-0, top of the 4th. And the Orioles called up the number one prospect in baseball. Is it Josh Holliday? Holliday, kid played Oklahoma State. Yeah, he's up now for Baltimore. Oh, my. What's this? This can't be happening. Miami is beating the Yankees 4-0. Something is amiss. Houston and Kansas City, they're scoreless. Okay, check the weather early in the morning from Augusta. See if it's going to be open. Most people do believe it's not going to be open early, maybe later. Then we'll see how things play out. Don Williams will be with us. MJ Ward will be with us. Mike Morgan will be with us tomorrow night. We'll have some more Gamecock football, spring practice stuff for you. So make sure you join us. Thank you, Josh. And thank you, everybody, for being with us. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fire